In this video, we'll be talking about money. There are 3 TEKs in first grade for money: 1.4a, 1.4b, and 1.4c. We're just going to kind of break those down as we talk through this. First of all, the students are going to need to identify coins, including pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters. So if we just have our manipulative, we want to start out and make sure that the students are actually manipulating the coins. I recommend that the students work with real coins if you can, as well as the plastic coins. If they're going to be handling them a lot and doing activities where you're not monitoring, I would definitely use the plastic coins, but make sure that the students have an opportunity to feel the real coins themselves, where they can do that describing what they feel like. Remember that these are kids nowadays that aren't handling these coins as often as maybe in the past. They're watching parents use debit cards and chip readers and things like that. So they're not touching money as often as it has been in the past. So just make sure that you can give them the opportunity to feel the ridges on the quarters, feel that a nickel is smooth on either side, and noting what's on the back of the coins. Coins aren't just one standard backing for all nickels or one standard backing for all quarters. So we want to make sure that the kids have the opportunity to see kind of how they could look different in the real world. So we want them to be able to identify the coin, be able to look at this and say, that's a quarter. And not only do they have to identify the coin, but they need to know the value. This is worth 25 cents. This is worth 10 cents. They also need to be able to talk to you about the relationship between the two coins, or between two coins. So I might say there are 5 nickels in 1 quarter, and that's the relationship piece that the students need to be able to understand and describe. There are 5 pennies in a nickel. There are 2 nickels in 1 dime. So we want to make sure that they're working through that. The second part is, how do students show you the value of those coins? So just real quickly, students, when they're telling you the value of the quarter, they will write it using the cent sign. Students in first grade do not have to know decimals and apply the dollar sign to their value of their coins. They're going to label it using the cent symbol. So they would just tell you that it's 25 cents, 1 cent, 5 cents, 10 cents, in order to describe that. The last thing that the kids need to be able to do, and this is the part that's going to take the most, this is brand new, this is not something they did in kindergarten, and that's to actually use the relationship to count coins by 2s, 5s, and 10s. So when we think about pennies, when the students are counting pennies, they very easily can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But the TEK is asking us to have the students count by 2s, 2, 4, and 1 more is 5. When they're counting their dimes, they're doing 10, 20. When they're counting their nickels, 5, 10, and so on. When they're counting a value of coins, they do not have to count a value including quarters. Quarters are only for identifying and knowing the value, but if I was having to count the value of this collection of coins, the quarters would not be part of it. So when students are working on the value of coins, we want to make sure that we're giving them mixed coins as well. We can certainly start by giving them just pennies and finding the value. We can give them just nickels and finding the value, and just dimes and finding the value. But our goal is to get them to that mixed value of coins. We want to make sure that we are not using hairy money. Hairy money is where you have a picture of the coin, and if it's a nickel, you put 1 hair on the top because it has 1 5 in it. If it's a dime, there's 2 hairs on top because it's 5 and 5. No hairy money. We want to make sure that the kids are using real math knowledge, real math skills in order to find the value of a collection of coins. So no hairy money. I can't draw hairs on my hand when I'm holding those coins at the store. We want them to use their skip counting, 2s, 5s, and 10s. And we want to make sure that we're making that counting of the value of the collection of coins very relevant to them. So where we can kind of start, where we're working with the manipulatives and the coin pieces, to make it very relevant, we can pretend with the students that we went to the store and we're buying some type of toy. And so we looked, and this little squeeze ball was 52 cents wherever I went and purchased it. So I could show this to the students that this little squeeze ball, it was 52 cents. I went to the store and I paid $1 to the cashier. And when I was finished and when I walked out, the cashier handed me a collection of coins as my change. And these are the coins that the cashier gave me. What I need to figure out is how much change did I get back from the cashier. So now we're working on the value of a collection of coins. We've made it very relevant to the students that we're actually purchasing something, and this is change. This is what really happens when I use money in the real world. So we want the students to start out by sorting the coins. So we're going to sort them by like coins. And when we start counting a value, we always want to start with the coin that has the greatest value. So I would ask the students, which coin has the greatest value? And we're going to guide them, or they're going to tell us that it's the dimes. So we're going to start our skip counting by starting with the dimes. 10, 20, 30, 40. At no point do I want to stop and specifically say there are 40 dimes and write that number down. I want to continue counting, and now I'm not going to count by tens anymore. I'm going to count by 5. So I was at 40. This is 45. If I'm sticking with the teak, I would then count this in a set of 2. But for the students to start out, we can very easily just count 45, 46, 47, 48. So I know that the change I got back was 48 cents. And we would want the students to then write the value of the collection of coins was 48 cents. So that makes the math very relevant to the students, and it also helps them do that practicing of that counting. We do not want to stop and have the students write down that I had 40 cents and 5 cents and 3 cents and turn this into a big long addition problem. We want them counting as if they were in the real world, how we would count coins. Okay? We're not always going to be able to provide our students with manipulatives and the coins, so we need to be prepared for if the students are given a sheet and we need to count the value of the collection of coins. So we're just going to look at this very first row right here. This is going to be more difficult for the students. The coins are mixed together. They're not separated in just dimes, just nickels, just pennies. We're going to have to make sure that the students can identify what the coins are first. Boys and girls, what is this coin? This would be a penny. We have a dime, a nickel, a dime, a nickel, and a dime. What's the value of each of those coins? 1 cent, 10 cents. We can help the students stay organized as they're working through the finding the value of the coins by having them write the value as they're doing their skip counting. So what coin are we going to start with? We're going to start with the coin that has the greatest value, which is the dime. And so we could start skip counting. 10, 20, 30. There's no more dimes, so now we're going to move to the next coin. What's the next largest coin in value? That would be the nickel. How much is the nickel worth? It's worth 5 cents. So we're not going to count by tens anymore, we're going to count by 5s. So we're at 30. This would be 35, 40, 45. We have 1 coin left. It's a penny. How much is a penny worth? It's worth 1 cent. So 45 and 1 more would be 46, and the students could say that it's worth 46 cents. We want to make sure that the students are working through their identification. So how do we know that this is a nickel? How do we know that this is a dime? How are the 2 coins alike? How are the 2 coins different? Those are just questions that we can continue to work on all of those teaks as they're practicing. The counting the coins on a worksheet is going to be the most difficult for the students because they can't do the separating, they can't move the coins out of the way, there is no sorting opportunity. If students are struggling, we can always supplement by providing coins to where they can recreate this next to them so I can actually move the coins out of the way. If you have any questions on counting money, you can take a look at the instructional talk page or you can contact us.